So we look at what's going on with your physical health. How's your eating habits? How are you moving your body? Do you have any diseases? Are you on medications? Are you getting your screenings? Are you getting sunlight, sleep? And then on a mental health standpoint, like what's going on in your mind, right? Are you overly stressed? Do you have healthy coping mechanisms, or do you have a bunch of like unhealthy ways that you deal with life? What are you watching? What are you reading? What is like really what's going on in your mind, right?
Welcome to Thriving with Diabetes, the podcast where we empower people with type 2 diabetes to live their best lives. I am your host, Gamden, a holistic wellness coach helping people overcome challenges related to type 2 diabetes. As a holistic wellness coach, I have dedicated my passion for health and wellness to helping people like you navigate the complexities of diabetes. I believe that with the correct knowledge, support, and mindset, you can manage your health condition more effectively and lead a vital and fulfilling life. In today's episode of Thriving with Diabetes, we are talking about holistic wellness and lifestyle medicine to empower you on your health journey. I am pleased to introduce our guest, Brittany Cano, a passionate coach for holistic health with 15 years of experience as a critical care nurse and various skills set that include personal training, holistic health, coaching, mindfulness, and many more. During this episode, you will gain practical tips and strategies for embracing mindfulness, emotional wellness, and movement as medicine. I'm so excited to have our guest with me today, Brittany Cano. As you know, that our podcast is about empowering people with type 2 diabetes to lead a more fulfilling lives. It is always inspiring to learn about our guests' perspectives and experiences. But before we dive into our discussion, I would love from Brittany to introduce herself, share some background about her and what she does. So without further ado, I will hand it over to Brittany to introduce herself. Brittany, welcome to Thriving with Diabetes podcast.
Thank you, Gamben, and hello everyone. Great to be here with you today. So yes, like Gamben said, I've been in critical care nursing for over 15 years, which has come with a lot of learning and a lot of caring for people. And about 10 years ago, actually, is when I really made a pivot in my life personally. I was suffering from gastritis or heartburn all of the time since I was probably like 14 years old. I was partying a lot with my friends and really, as I look back, avoiding a lot of pain and suffering with unhealthy coping mechanisms. But I didn't really realize that was what was going on. But I had this experience where I knew I needed to change my lifestyle. Like I could look around at people that were older than me, even some people my age at the time, who were really just overall suffering with their health, not really doing well mentally, just not on a good track. And I knew I had to make some changes myself. So I started making those changes. And around the same time is when I really started noticing how a lot of the patients that I would see would come back into ICU, and they had preventable diseases. And so that's really when I got into the holistic wellness coaching, and really am so glad that I did, because as human beings, we really have the ability so much of the time to manage our diseases, to heal and overcome them, and really live a life not just of surviving, but to thrive. So really that's what I do now. I work a lot with people who are at that crossroads in their life. They've been maybe so dedicated to work, so dedicated to taking care of their family, that they've lost themselves. They've now at a place where they're know that they really need to start making some changes. And so that's really how I work with my clients who are at that crossroads, ready to change their life for the better.
Brilliant, amazing story and background to share about you and your health journey. As you know that holistic wellness is all about body, mind, and spirit. How do you define holistic wellness, and why it is fundamental or a fundamental aspect of our life?
Right. Yeah. When I work with clients, I look at the whole being. So, not just like their physical health or their mental health, all aspects, like you said, because everything really is connected. And so, it's important that we look at and work with ourselves and clients as a whole. So, I work with clients from the biopsychosocial spiritual model, which is physical health. So, we look at what's going on with your physical health. How's your eating habits? How are you moving your body? Do you have any diseases? Are you on medications? Are you getting your screenings? Are you getting sunlight, sleep? And then on a mental health standpoint, like what's going on in your mind, right? Are you overly stressed? Do you have healthy coping mechanisms, or do you have a bunch of like unhealthy ways that you deal with life? What are you watching? What are you reading? What is like really what's going on in your mind, right? I always inspire patients and clients to really question our thoughts, because our mind will tell us all kinds of things, and it's not always true, but we can take our mind, our thoughts, like it's true. And a lot of times it's not. So really looking at the beliefs, do they build us up or do they break us down? And the good thing about beliefs is that we can recreate beliefs that support us and that are going to have us live a life that we want to live. And then social life. So social life is all our relationships with ourselves, our relationships with our job, right? What's going on in your career, in your job, in your hobbies, the things you do for fun. Do you have access to care in the community that you're in, or do you not have resources? And then the spiritual life. So when I say spiritual, a lot of times people think that, oh, it's religion. Either I have a religion, I don't have a religion. Spirituality can include religion. And it's also like, what is that connects you to something greater than yourself? And whether that is a higher power or whether that is your purpose, your mission. And also in spirituality, having a forgiveness practice, a compassion practice, living to be the best person you can be. So we look at all of that and see how things are working together, and also how there may be different areas that are not working. And then we come up with a plan. And it's so important because we are these whole beings. We are holistic beings. So if you're working with somebody who doesn't get that, it's important that as a patient or as a consumer, we remember that it really takes this 360 approach for healing.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you for sharing this great information. So it's not about one thing or one aspect of health, because sometimes a person might say, I have tried this, but it didn't work. So without looking at like the broader view of health.
Right. Yeah. We can say, okay, I tried to exercise and it didn't work. Then the question is, why didn't it work? Maybe like mentally, you didn't believe you could. You had so many stressors, your environment, right? You're dealing with so many things in your environment that you weren't actually even making it to you weren't exercising, or there's a physical limitation. So really looking at the whole picture. And it's kind of like detective work, right? Discovering what's working, what's not working, and then asking those deeper questions of, okay, like, why is this way? What's really going on here? And like getting underneath the surface. So that's one of the things with holistic that I appreciate, is that it's not just surface level, right? We're really looking to see what's going on underneath the surface. And I find, like, in traditional medicine, so much of the time it's like, okay, I have diabetes, here's the pill. You might get a consult for a dietitian, you may or may not. And with diabetes, looking at that from a holistic view, there are a lot of things. Stress, right? Having an increase in cortisol and adrenaline chronically is going to raise your blood sugar, right? It's going to cause the liver to create increased blood sugar, right? We're going to have problems there. So there's so many things to look at when we look at the lens of type 2 diabetes, of why is my blood sugar elevated? And then what can I do about it aside from medication, right? What is that holistic approach? And there really is a holistic approach to manage it. And sometimes people are able, as you know, to reverse it completely.
Brilliant. Very helpful insights from Brittany. Let me ask you a question about mindfulness and emotional wellness as well, in terms of managing diabetes. Why is mindfulness crucial specifically for people with type 2 diabetes, and how can it benefit those living with diabetes for years?
Okay, great question. So, for those of you listening who aren't familiar with mindfulness, it's the practice of living in the present moment from a place of non judgment. So much of the time, our mind is processing stuff from the past, planning or worrying about the future. So it's the practice of bringing ourselves into the present moment where life is happening from that place of non-judgment. We're judgmental beings as humans. So that's why it's a practice. And also from that place of curiosity, from that place of compassion and kindness. So I'll give you an example of how this could be supportive for somebody with diabetes. Let's give the example of, you go to eat. You're at a buffet, right? I think that, you go into a grocery store and it's kind of like a buffet. There's so many different options. So with mindfulness, we're able to be aware of what's going on with us in the moment. Let's say we hadn't eaten lunch and we're starving. We're like, not starving, but you get what I mean. We're really hungry. Our appetite is really high. With mindfulness, we're aware, okay, this is what's happening to me right now. I want to get all the cookies and cakes and chips and like open up a bag and eat it right now because I didn't eat lunch. So with mindfulness, we're aware that that's going on, and we can make the choice to either act on that and just open up the bag of cookies and eat them while we're going through the store. And we can also make the choice, because we have that awareness, to say, okay, I need to get me like a protein shake and sip on this. And like, really, I know that I want to make mindful choices on what I'm going to put in this cart and go through the perimeter and get more whole foods, more real foods, because we have that awareness. It creates that awareness, and it also puts us in closer relationship with choice, right? So instead of just impulsively doing things or not doing things, with mindfulness, we have that heightened awareness to say, hold on, does this support my greatest good? We bring the curiosity in. Is this what's best for me? Is this what's best for my diabetes? Or is this just me wanting, what I want right now, which is totally fine. And at least we have that heightened awareness to decide what's going to support me best, and asking those curious questions to support our health the best. So I hope that answered the question.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing this information. And if you can share some more practical tips regarding mindfulness. You just mentioned that number one is we need to live the current present or moment. regardless of what we did or what we might do in the future or worry about something in the future, if you can share something that can improve our emotional health or wellness.
Yes, yeah, and great thing. Like, I'm glad you brought that up like that, right? It's like, okay, that's great tips, but like, how do I do that, right? Like, oh, that's great to do that, but where do you even start? So, a great place to start, believe it or not, is with the breath. And then people may not really, if they don't have a breath work practice or aren't used to mindful breathing, may say, well, how's that going to do anything? But really, our breath has the ability to self-regulate. So when we're anxious, when our emotions are heightened, when we're angry, we're going to breathe a certain way versus when we're calm or feel safe. We have the ability to breathe, we breathe different. So mindful breath, dropping those shoulders, breathing on the in-breath down into the belly, and then a nice long exhale out through the mouth. And I would encourage everybody to take some breaths like that with me if you're listening. So breathing in through the nose, let the belly rise, and then exhaling either out through the mouth or out through the nose and letting the exhale be nice and long. So it starts to create that sense of self-soothing, that sense of self-regulation. And then from there, we can start to cue in and say, what's going on emotionally, right? Like, ooh, I'm anxious right now. Oh, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Or, oh, I'm really excited and I feel really happy. So the breath is always with us. We breathe like 20,000 breaths a day. Yet, how many of them are we even aware of until we, have this practice that we're breathing? And it's a great way to self-soothe because it really works with the nervous system. It works with the vagus nerve when we breathe down into the belly like that. And it also helps bring us into the present moment. So it's a great starting place for people on their mindfulness journey. Even if you've been practicing mindfulness for 50 years, you're still going to anchor into the breath on a regular basis. And it also gives us that ability to question, like, what's going on with me emotionally, right? What do I really need right now? Because a lot of times we're disconnected from that. What do I really need right now? What's going on with me emotionally? We get so identified with either our thoughts or our mind, that our thoughts or our emotions, that we sometimes think we are our thoughts or we are our emotions, and yet there is actually a separation between them. And when we can remember that, oh wait, I'm not this emotion, I'm not these thoughts, it's really a way to live a more empowered life.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
And you just mentioned that it helps, breathing helps with the nerve system. And this will lead us to the next question. I want to explore a little bit about the nerve system regulation in holistic health and wellness care. So if you can share some information about the nerve system regulation as part of holistic health and how it impact a person with type 2 diabetes.
Yeah, so nervous system regulation is something I became extra passionate about during the pandemic, working full time in the ICU right outside of New York City, and then running my business full time. So I was working my butt off, thinking I should be able to work more, do more. I don't know if anybody listening has ever felt like that. Like, I should be able to do more than I'm doing right now. And yet you're still working a ton. And my body started giving me signs of burnout. I ended up with, again, my stomach is my area when something's off with me, like my gut. Some people get headaches. Some people can't sleep. Some people are like constantly irritable, cannot focus. All of these things I want to encourage the listeners to pay attention to. Instead of being like, what's wrong with my body? What's wrong with my mind? Use this information, like I was saying earlier, like as a detective, because our bodies are genius. They're trying to tell us something. There's really gold in this information if we start to explore, like, okay, what is my body trying to communicate to me? So I have at least the wisdom to say, okay, these GI symptoms, something's going on with me because I hadn't experienced them like this for years, and yet here I was again. And so with the nervous system, I realized I was dysregulated. I was in so the nervous system, to make it really simple, if you think it is one of the operating systems of the body. It helps maintain homeostasis or balance, and it really controls so many functions from the brain, helps coordinate the muscles, the temperature. It works with the metabolisms. It's very, very important. All of our systems in the body work together, but the nervous system, think about all our brain function coming from the nervous system, the spinal cord. So two parts of it: parasympathetic, which is our rest, digest, reproduce, and then sympathetic, which is when we're taking action. It's that fight, flight, or freeze. And so what I find so much of the time with clients I work with is that they're in the sympathetic dominance, right? They're not able to really rest, not really having that sense of calm, taking time off, having these practices that really ground them, bring that sense of peace and regulation. They're always on the go, or they're always in that fear mode or survival mode. Even if, let's say, this is somebody who's wheelchair bound, they might be in their mind worrying about where's the next like thing that I need to take care of myself, whether it's how am I going to get my medication? How am I going to get to my appointments, right? In that constant state of worrying, planning, and feeling like you're under constant threat, like things are about to go down, even though you're relatively safe. So in that sympathetic dominance, there's all kinds of things, and it can affect diabetes. One being, like I talked about earlier, increase in adrenaline and cortisol. So that causing your heart rate to go up, your blood pressure to go up, your body to increase blood sugar, right? All of these stress hormones over time have a toxic effect and play a role on diabetes. It also can affect our brain and how we make choices and how we manage stress. It can lead to depression, anxiety, all of these things, making it harder to do the things that you need to do to manage diabetes. And on the flip side, the great thing is that we can regulate this nervous system. There are things that we can do so that things are in balance. And some of those things include, from a holistic perspective, is doing more of the things that you enjoy that are healthy. Because some people might be like, well, I like to go to the bar. Okay, not that. But doing, whether it's playing with your animal or your child or your grandchild, going for walks, doing art, listening to music that makes you feel good, laughing, really enjoying life. These are things that we can do that are going to help expand our window of tolerance and help our nervous system. The breath work, practicing mindfulness, practicing some kind of meditation that helps put you in that more relaxed state. All of these things are going to support the nervous system and help create that balance.
Brilliant information. And I was going to ask you to share some practical tips to help regulate the nerve system, but you already answered that. And now you took us back again to the main point: holistic health and wellness. So now you mentioned many things, and we cannot just do one thing and expect a good result. Sometimes, or just as you mentioned now, the simple thing about the nerve system is there is a message or a signal from our body, and we should respond appropriately to that message, right?
Well, with the nervous system, when we have those trauma responses, that flight, fight, or freeze, they're automatic. They're going to kick in automatically. We don't really get the opportunity to think our way out of it. They're automatic responses. But with the practice of mindfulness, with awareness, with being more in tune with our body, we're able to recognize that that's what's happening and then do those things that we need to self-soothe. And I always encourage people not to wait until you're in a state where you feel like out of control or shut down, rather to start practicing these things when you feel good, on a regular basis, on a daily basis, right? Doing these things that help bring calm and bring enjoyment into your life. Do them every single day. And piggyback off what you said about like holistic wellness, like doing one thing is not going to change everything. They all overlap. So, for example, going for a walk with a friend is going to provide physical benefit, right? You're moving your body, you're getting sunlight. It depends where you're at, I guess. Hopefully, here in Florida, we get sunlight, but I know a lot of places we're going into a time where there's not sunlight. But you're outside, you're with nature.
Yeah.
So there can also be that spiritual benefit, right? You're connected with nature. You can practice gratitude while you're walking with your friend. You're getting that social benefit as well. You're connecting with someone that you enjoy. And then you also can get the mental benefit depending on what the conversation is between you two. Like if you're talking about things that are great for your growth, great for your healing, great for your mind. So in that one act of going for a walk with a friend, it can be a holistic practice, right? It can engage all of those areas of our life. So I want people to keep it simple and know that it doesn't have to be this big hard thing. We can make it simple and enjoyable and yet really effective. So that piece of intention makes a big difference, because we could also go on a walk with a friend and drink a milkshake and have a thing of fries and talk about how much we hate our lives and how horrible everything is. And then, we're getting the benefit of walking, but we're also have these other things that are, potentially working against us. So that power of intention is powerful.
This is a great example. Just by doing one activity, you can make it positive or negative. So from just one activity, like walking, as you mentioned, you can have, like, especially in the summer, you can get exposure to the sun light for vitamin D, for example. You will have some sort of exercise, connection, improving mental health. So just one activity can target different areas. And if we take it like the opposite, so it can be negative, as you mentioned. We can go outside then, but what we practice there, either mentally or physically, like we eat unhealthy food, start thinking negatively, so it won't help.
Yeah, I love that recap of that. It's so true. Like and the great thing is that we have that choice of what we do, right?
Exactly.
It's the same activity of going for a walk with a friend, and yet we can use that experience to enhance our health, enhance our life, elevate our quality of living, or it can tear us down, break us down, potentially work against our health.
Brilliant.
And then as simple as that power of intention and that power of choice.
Amazing information. Thank you for sharing that. This will take us to the next part of this episode. As you know, that some health experts or coaches use the term movement as medicine, which highlights the importance of physical activity in diabetes management and overall health. Why is movement or exercise considered as medicine in holistic wellness, and how does it contribute to improving the lives of people with type 2 diabetes?
Yeah, I mean, we're designed to move as humans. Like, we are not designed to sit behind a computer or TV or phone all day long. Like, we are meant to get up and move. That's how we are created as beings. And so, there's so many benefits from engaging our muscles, using our, for our bones. It helps prevent osteoporosis when we're exercising. Our heart, our blood vessels, like everything benefits from the act of exercising. And it also helps lower our insulin resistance. For people with type 2 diabetes, it's another reason to move our bodies, and also that mental health component of exercising. So it releases neurotransmitters that help elevate the mood, boost the mood, actually create more energy, unless you're doing like a super intense workout. Then you might be exhausted afterwards, but moderate exercise, right? Boost of energy, all of these things in which we need for our overall health. And I know some people might not be able to walk, right? You might not be able to go for a walk. In those cases, I say try to find a pool if you have access to getting into a pool, because that's great if you have joint issues or you're not able to really walk around, or even if you're bound to a chair. Like, there are exercises that you can do from a seated position. So, given wherever you're at with your physical mobility, like increasing your physical activity for most people. Some people are extra on the go and extra active. But for a lot of people, we're not active enough. So, really making sure every single day you're moving your body, you're going for those walks, and also adding in strength training a few days a week, because it also has that positive effect on our hormones. And, diabetes is affected, it affects our hormones. And so it has a positive effect in overall management of diabetes, and even in combination with other lifestyle changes in potentially reversing type 2 diabetes. I just was with a woman over a couple days ago, and she was type 2 diabetic. She made the lifestyle changes. The doctors wanted to put her on medication, and she said, hey, give me 3 months. Let me do the things that I need to do and see if my hemoglobin A1C drops. And sure enough, she did. She managed her stress, started eating better, started moving more, and she is not on medication. And her hemoglobin A1C, which is an indicator, if you're diabetic, dropped. So there's so much power in lifestyle as medicine, and exercise, movement is medicine. It's very powerful, and I think that it shouldn't be underestimated. It's free to go for a walk. It's free to do some body weight push-ups, squats, doing some things in place. If you're bound to a chair, doing those leg lifts, using weights with your arms if you're able to use your arms, and doing it, starting where you're at and doing it consistently, building upon that. But definitely, we're meant to move. We're meant to move on a regular daily basis. I can't emphasize that enough.
Great. Okay. Thank you for sharing this information. And you know that sedentary lifestyle is a factor when it comes to type 2 diabetes. But I wanted to comment on this. If I do, let's say, I do weekly workout, let's say 3 times, maybe about 30 minutes or 1 hour. Does this is this enough? So the rest of the day I don't move, or should I move throughout the day, even if I have an exercise routine or plan?
Great question. I'm so glad you asked that. So, great job on the 30 days a week of doing the workout, right? If you're somebody who's working out 3 days a week, awesome. And it's not enough to offset sedentary lifestyle. We need to be up and moving. I tell people, get up and move every single hour. Move your body. I tell people, if you did CrossFit, which is a very intense boot camp style of workout, 5 days a week, an hour a day, but you sit behind a computer screen the rest of the time, or you sit and watch TV on the couch the rest of the time. That is not enough physical activity to offset all of that sitting. So sitting, though, there was a campaign a while back, like sitting is the new smoking. So you really do need to get up and move. It doesn't have to be anything like extravagant, but get up and walk around your house. Get up and walk around the office. Walk down to the block and back. Move your body. Do something called exercise snacks. Do 5 squats. Do 10 wall push-ups. Like, bring your legs in place. Like, every hour while you're awake, move your body, because sedentary lifestyle, like you said, Gamban, is linked to type 2 diabetes and heart disease as well. And just thinking, when you move, it also actually activates your energy and increases energy. I think anybody can attest, if you like sit on the couch or sit in your chair behind your computer for like 3 hours, you're like, gosh, I'm so tired. But if you were to like get up and move a little bit, you wouldn't be so tired. The body in motion stays in motion. It's so important to move throughout your day, regardless of if you're doing intense training.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that as well. I think there is a term, there is a saying or term is well known: use it or lose it. If we don't stimulate our muscles, so we lose muscle, right?
We do. We definitely do. And as we age, we lose our muscle mass faster. So even more reason why we need to add in that strength training. We lose the muscle mass, which therefore slows our metabolism, which therefore, again, puts us at risk for type 2 diabetes, also puts us at risk for osteoporosis, later on puts us at risk for falls, and just overall not being able to do the things that we want to do in life. Like, if you have grandkids, get down on the ground with the grandkids. You want to go for a walk with your friend. Like, if you don't use it, you lose it. And all of those things are going to be so much harder. So even more reason for quality of life to stay active. Stay active.
Brilliant. You agree with the term movement is medicine?
I definitely do. Yes. For so many reasons. For me, honestly, when I started exercising regularly, like I used to suffer from like depression, and like in the mornings I'd feel so like sad and down. And once I started exercising consistently, I'd say like 3 to 6 months in, like I didn't have that anymore. Like I didn't feel sad when I woke up in the morning. Like it really changed my neurochemistry. Like it changed the way my brain worked. So they've done studies with antidepressants and exercise and placebo groups, and the antidepressant and exercise groups are pretty much even, like as far as when it comes to symptoms of anxiety and depression. So I love exercise and movement for that reason as well, for what it does for mental health.
Thank you for sharing your own experience as well. You have already mentioned some lifestyle changes that we should implement. Are there any some more key lifestyle changes that you can recommend or advise people to start implementing, especially those suffering from type 2 diabetes? So the lifestyle changes should be like a strategy they can follow.
Okay. So managing stress, reducing stress, you can find all kinds of information. I'm also a great resource for that. That's something that I really support people with, is managing stress, reducing stress, having healthy coping mechanisms. So some of the things that we can do to manage stress are set healthy boundaries. Like if you're somebody who's saying yes all the time and you have no time for yourself and you really want to say no, I would encourage you to find some supportive ways to say no to things that you don't absolutely have to do and you don't want to do, so that you can say yes to your well-being, so that you can say yes to your health. That's just, one very simple thing when it comes to managing stress. And also prioritizing, if you're somebody who's on the go all the time, prioritizing your rest as well, making sure that you're getting quality sleep and enough sleep, making sure that you're taking time where you're not working, not planning, not taking care of everybody else. And I know for people who are in that boat, it can seem like that's impossible for me to do. So even starting with a few minutes, right? Starting to take a few minutes to yourself where you just enjoy the clouds going out in the sky or enjoy the birds chirping, whatever it is, but starting to really start to protect your time of peace. Another thing is community. Community is huge. Who are you surrounding yourself with? Do you have people who support you and lift you up, or are the people in your life like tearing you down or engaging in habits that are destructive for your health or not supportive of you and your goals? So community is huge. Nowadays, we have the ability to connect with people from all around the world. So I know a reason can be like, well, there's nobody. I live in a very small town. There's nobody here. I get that. I grew up in a very small town. I felt like that before. And when there's a will, there's a way. There are amazing communities all throughout the world, even if it's connecting with them virtually to start with, right? Find a positive, uplifting community. There's millions of them, at this point. So those would be, in addition to practicing like the mindfulness, practicing eating well, eating wholesome foods, eating balanced nutrition, drinking enough water, and moving our body. Those are some other things that I would say are super important. Managing stress, and surrounding yourself with people who lift you up.
Brilliant. Great lifestyle changes if we start implementing them, so we can see a big difference in our life. Very important points you mentioned now. I have got another question for you before we finish this episode. What inspiring message or advice would you like to leave with our viewers and listeners, especially those suffering from type 2 diabetes?
I would like to share that regardless of where you're at right now in life, it doesn't have to define your future. And to practice like being okay and appreciating where you are on your journey. We're already whole, we're already enough. And I think, in today's society, we really, with capitalism, we focus on what's missing. Everything is broken. And so remembering that we're whole already, and through this healing journey, through this doing these practices to manage our diabetes or manage, reverse diabetes, it's just bringing us more in alignment with who we truly are, but that we're already okay where we're at. Because I think we can get into a mindset of where I'm at is not right, I'm wrong. And that's, part of the human journey, right? There's always room to grow. There's always room to expand. So practicing that self-compassion piece is really important. That part of being human is that we're going to have issues. We're going to have struggles. We're going to have hardships, and that it's okay, and not to get too lost in that, and to stay connected to the present moment and stay connected to what's possible. Because we can also think like diabetes defines me, or whatever's happened in the past defines me, or what happened with my family defines me, and it doesn't have to.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing your inspiring message. How do people find you if they want to get in touch, learn more about you and what you do?
Perfect. Yeah, I'd say the easiest place is my website, because then you can find me on social media from there. So it's holisticnursecoaches.com. And then through there, you have the option to either sign up and get a video that really helps. We talked a little bit about emotion. It's called Emotional Freedom Technique. So it's a great mind-body practice. There's a video that you can opt in and get, or there's an option to connect with me via like a call like this, via a Zoom call. So holistic nurse coaches, escoaches.com.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing your contact information. I think we have come to the end of this episode. First and foremost, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our amazing guest, Brittany Cano, for generously sharing her expertise, insights, and time with us today. Your contribution has truly elevated this episode, and I deeply appreciate the information you have provided. I want also to thank every one of you, our dedicated viewers and listeners, who has been a part of this episode. If you are seeking additional assistance and support, I encourage you to book a discovery call with me at wellnessimpact.org. During this call, we can discover or explore how I can help you on your health journey, and see how I can help you further. If you found today's episode insightful and valuable, I encourage you to join our community of people who are committed to thriving with diabetes. To stay up to date for upcoming episodes, empowering discussions, and practical tips, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And for those who prefer other podcast platforms such as Spotify, you can follow the Thriving with Diabetes podcast. Once again, thank you, Brittany, for being a guest on our podcast. Thank you, everyone who has been watching this episode or listening to it. Until next time, take care of your health and keep thriving.
Thank you, Gamben. Thank you, everyone.